Right now at noon, a powerful twister tears a 10-mile path through a small central Oklahoma community.
And that same system brought us some strong storms overnight and then a few showers this morning. Right now, though, sun's starting to come out. Still a bit breezy. We'll talk about that forecast and a big cool down coming up.
And after months of back and forth over the debt limit, a new plan is unveiled for raising the debt ceiling.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A wave of severe storms hammers Oklahoma, Kansas, and even Iowa overnight. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, central Oklahoma reported several tornadoes, some leaving severe damage behind. Now, one of them is blamed for killing 2 people in Cole, a little town 25 miles south of Oklahoma City. The community has a population of roughly 600. The twister cut a path of destruction 10 miles long, decimating houses and property along its way. The tornado warning started early Wednesday evening and first brought large hailstones to the area. About 60 miles east of Cole, another tornado touched down in Shawnee. Our affiliate station KWTV in Oklahoma City caught it live on air just as the town's power went out. That storm took dead aim at Oklahoma Baptist University, shredding walls of buildings and leaving a trail of debris on campus. No injuries were reported. Kansas also had reports of tornadoes last night in Chase County. We faced some really strong winds here in the 4 states. Chris Warner joins us with a first look.
Yeah, we spent a good portion of our morning with very strong winds, gusting upwards 40-45 miles an hour. It's starting to calm down now. We still have some cloud cover out there, but you can see some sunlight is starting to peek through, and that sunlight a little more visible from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line, looking back to the south, and you can see some shadows out there. We are getting some sunlight, which is nice. This is from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. We started yesterday at 65, made it up to 76, so definitely above normal, but not quite at record levels. So this morning, here comes that line. It tried to get going, it just didn't, and now we're starting to get the redevelopment as this line begins to push on off to the east, and it will continue to intensify once it leaves our area. These are the tornado reports that Tanya was just talking about around in Chase County in Kansas, not too far from our immediate viewing area if you look just back to the south and east a little bit. The good news is so far only 1 injury reported with that particular tornado, and that was for a truck driver with minor injuries after the tornado turned his truck. We are at 73 in Joplin, 67 Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, 69 in Chanute in Miami, at 71 in Neosho. What we're keeping an eye on is the breezy as we go through the evening, and we could see those gusts increase a little bit overnight. The clouds will continue to clear through the day, and then we're going to be much cooler heading into this weekend. We'll take a complete look at your forecast and how cold it's going to get here in just a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Congress is running out of time to raise the country's debt limit to pay for the bills it has already passed. Failure to do so could have a big impact on the U.S. economy. Nicole D'Antonio has more details from Capitol Hill.
America has a $31 trillion debt, and Washington is on the clock.
Congress has until sometime this summer to raise the debt limit or have the country default on its debt for the first time in history.
We are introducing the Limit, Save, Grow Act of 2023.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy introduced a plan Wednesday that would raise the debt ceiling by $1.5 trillion or through March of next year, whichever comes first. But it would prohibit the implementation of President Biden's student loan forgiveness program, and it would put in place work requirements for programs such as Medicaid and SNAP.
House Republicans are taking action to lift the debt limit, to limit government spending, save taxpayers money, and grow the economy.
Speaker McCarthy wants to vote on the bill next week, but he can only afford to lose 4 GOP votes and still pass the bill. Right now, it's not clear if he can get enough votes. Some Republicans, like Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona, say they want to see more cuts before they'll vote yes, while Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett says he won't support any plan to raise the limit, adding he's prepared to go over the cliff. Meanwhile, the White House insists Congress needs to raise the limit with no strings attached.
Our position continues to be to not negotiate over default. This is something that is the responsibility, the obligation of congressional members. They were able to do this 3 times in the last administration.
Even if McCarthy can get his plan through the House, it is dead on arrival in the Senate. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Well, at least one Democratic senator applauded Speaker McCarthy's plan. West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin says President Biden needs to negotiate with Speaker McCarthy to find a solution to the debt limit. Well, the House of Representatives passed the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act today. The bill aims to prohibit school sports programs from allowing transgender athletes to participate. It cites Title IX as the main argument as to why transgender athletes should not be allowed to play in women's sports leagues. The bill also stretches beyond sports games and also mentions practices and training. It says transgender players can attend practices and other activities as long as such training or practice does not deprive any female of corresponding opportunities or benefits. The bill passed 219 to 203 with several members choosing not to vote. H.R. 734 is expected to fail in the Senate. President Biden has also promised to veto the bill if it makes it to his desk.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3.
SpaceX launched the first flight test of a fully integrated Starship and Super Heavy rocket from Starbase in Texas this morning. And while the launch and ascent were both successful, the vehicle appears to have exploded just under 4 minutes into the launch. It's unclear whether this was a failure of the vehicle or if SpaceX terminated the flight. SpaceX plans to use Starship to send people and cargo to the moon and eventually Mars. Now, NASA has reserved a Starship for its next moonwalking team, and rich tourists are already booking lunar flybys. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, how a Virginia math teacher's decades of dedication has inspired generations of students. And later, we're making bacon and fried chicken waffle witch in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. The nation's schools are facing a massive wave of retirements, with almost 250,000 teachers likely to leave the classroom when this school year ends. But one math teacher in Virginia is not one of them. Scott McFarland shows us how at 91 years old, retirement isn't even on this guy's radar.
Lou Kokonis hits the treadmill most mornings to keep up his endurance and his strength for a career that must feel something like a marathon. Now in his 90s, Kokonis is in his 63rd year teaching math at Alexandria City High School in Northern Virginia.
Divide by 2.
And that adds up to thousands of students.
6,400 students.
Some of them are doctors and lawyers.
He's also had students like Mark Eisenhower become fellow teachers and then beat him to retirement.
You retired. He's still here. How is that possible?
Yeah, I didn't think it was possible. I thought he was close to retirement when I was a student here.
It's only possible because Kokonis first entered these halls before the Beatles formed.
This rock and roll group has taken over.
Before space travel.
Liftoff. Denominator.
The calculus Kokonis teaches hasn't changed.
How many got this one right? Okay, you all want to look over your tests?
But it's his old school approach of offering free tutoring on Saturdays and being the first to arrive each day, which connects with his students.
To be working and teaching for this long and to still put in all this extra effort on Saturdays, I really admire that about him.
Does anybody know what the answer is going to be?
With no wife or children, Kokonis devotes himself completely to his students.
If I had a wife, she'd probably leave me within a week.
And he insists retirement is not one of the 3 R's he'll consider.
My mind is set that I'm going to do well this year, and I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm going to try to come next year if they'll take me.
Scott McFarland, CBS News, Alexandria, Virginia.
Looks like he'd be a fun teacher. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
You know, most of us deal with enough stress on a daily basis that we shouldn't need to worry about what to make for dinner. To help make things easier for you, we're sharing a recipe inspired by a few time savers from our freezer aisle.
But first, we are a little cooler today. We are going to be much colder heading into the weekend. We'll look at those temperatures in that forecast coming up. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. So we had a few stronger storms, even some severe storms late last night. And then we had a line of storms try to get going this morning, but there just wasn't much for it. However, now it is starting to get its act together a little bit, which we can see on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Now, here's the deal. Don't let this terrify you too much. Yeah, we're starting to see some shower and thunderstorm development stretching from Benton County, McDonald County, back toward Monette, and then just northwest of Springfield. But none of this is expected to really intensify too much before it moves out of our area here in the next hour or so. So we shouldn't be too concerned about those thunderstorms because they'll be out of our area, and that's when they'll start to intensify as they head off to the east, where, as we mentioned this morning, that's where they're expecting some severe thunderstorms across Arkansas and into southeast Missouri. Still got a number of clouds out there, but there's enough opening that the sun is starting to get through. You can see it on our camera. You can see it here on the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line. And you can see the sunshine on the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. What is that doing to our temperatures? Well, even with the sunshine, it's not going to do a ton. We may get a pinch warmer today with a little more sunshine because we were expecting more clouds, but it's not going to be as warm as we have been. 73 in Joplin right now. West breeze still at 15, so not as bad as it was this morning, but that's still a good strong wind. A little cooler in Pittsburgh right now, 66, and that west breeze is at 8 miles an hour. As we head into the afternoon, we're still looking to push lower 70s, might make it up to about 75 for some of us, especially with a little more sunshine out there. We head into this evening, the clouds will clear out completely. We'll still see a few wind gusts here and there, but otherwise not bad, except for the fact it's going to be downright cold. We are looking at lows down into the lower to mid 40s across the area, which that also means tomorrow, while we'll still have some clouds to begin our day, we'll get more sun and not a lot of warming as we're into the mid 60s. Still not bad for this time of year, but a lot cooler than where we have been the last few days. All right, down to 40 Friday night, 55 on Saturday. That's our coldest day on here. Down to 35 overnight, 62 by Sunday. And then after that, we try to warm, but try is the operative word here because as you can see, we don't really succeed. We make it near 70 by next Wednesday, otherwise hanging out in the 60s, which is keeping our lows in the 40s out there. So very chilly for us in the next several days. And as you can see, some additional shower and thunderstorm chances as we head through next week. So we're pretty good for the rest of today. Again, we've got those showers and storms off to the our eastern counties. They're on their way out, so it's really not much to worry about. A strong storm or two may try and get going, but the worst of it should stay out of here.
And are we going to see more of it this weekend?
We are still looking at some breezy times as we head through the weekend, but thankfully we're not looking at anything quite like what we saw last night and into early this morning with those gusts pushing 40, 45, even 50 miles an hour.
Well, I think the problem with those gusts is they didn't just stop. They just kept going and going, and they were continuous.
Yeah, we got some pretty sustained winds out there that were really howling this morning. Thankfully, they've calmed down. Again, they're still blowing, but they've calmed down just a little bit at least.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris. Well, stick around. We're making bacon and fried chicken waffle witches after the break. Well, if you want something simple with great flavor, you're going to love this. We're making a bacon and fried chicken waffle witch in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Most of us deal with enough stress on a daily basis that we shouldn't need to worry about what to make for dinner. To help make things easier for you, we're sharing a recipe inspired by a few time savers from the freezer aisle. By simply serving these heat and eat favorites together, you'll end up with a feel-good dinner in just minutes. Watch this. The next time you're at the store, pick up a package of frozen breaded chicken tenders and a box of waffles. Any brand will do, and if they're on sale, all the better. While these heat in the oven or in your air fryer, pop a few waffles into your toaster. We want to toast them until they're golden. All that's left to do is top each waffle with some smoky cooked bacon and a few of the chicken tenders before putting another waffle on top. Now you tell me, when was making dinner ever this easy? At the table, put out some honey and maple syrup and let everyone drizzle on their favorites. Everyone who tries this is going to love this tasty combo of flavors. To get the recipe for our bacon and fried chicken waffle witch, check out our website. I know you'll be glad you did.
I love chicken and waffles.
I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we discovered a waffly good way for you to say, ooh, it's so good. Open up wide.
All right, well, you can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Oh, we've got a few showers and thunderstorms beginning to develop off to the south and east. Now, a couple of these might try and get a little on the strong side, but no major severe weather expected. This line will really intensify once it rolls out of our area. As for the rest of the day, highs low mid-70s, much cooler tomorrow, colder on Saturday, low of 35 as well. Make sure your vegetation's protected. Warming up just a pinch into next week with some additional shower and thunderstorm chances.
All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, a new study might have you think twice before reaching for a can of soda or lemonade. Harvard researchers looked at nearly 20 years of data, and they found sugar-sweetened drinks can lead to early death for people with diabetes. We're going to have more on that story in Health Watch. Plus, law enforcement agencies are on patrol today looking for impaired marijuana users behind the wheel. We're going to hear from a Joplin attorney about the cost of driving under the influence. And Missouri launches a new campaign aimed at parents of teens concerning the use of e-cigarettes. Hope you'll join us for those stories. A lot more. It's all coming up today. KOAM News at 5.
All right. Thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.